So, with Assad gone, it can be a finally a new day in Syria. And I've said before, I really do remain hopeful that when you've had this new sort of rebel leader guy come forward and say all these promises about what he wants to do with Syria, if he maintains those promises, that will be a very good thing. However, of course, talk's one thing, action is the complete other. It's what will happen now. And I really do think this is a moment where the international community should come together and indeed help this new Syrian government get going. It needs help in creating new institutions, rules, laws, constitutions. This is the type of thing I really think the UN really needs to get involved in. This is the very thing I think an area where the UN needs to get involved in here. Absolutely needs to get involved here. 110% needs to be involved in this type of stuff. So I think that would be very, very good. However, there is now other questions that have to be asked. No doubt you've been seeing a lot of the videos that have been coming out of a lot of the people who have gone to like Assad's mansions and homes that he's had, the presidential palace. There's the big video that's been going around, and you see Assad's massive, sports car collection. Ferraris, whatever. I don't know names of other sports cars now, but you know, just sports car after sports car after sports car, and just one of those numbers in the millions. It's insane to me that someone would pay such an astronomical sum just for that car that goes, vroom vroom really loud. But hey, I suppose when you've been stealing that amount of money from the Syrian people for some time, maybe you just need an excuse to spend it, you know? But this is where I think some of the serious work starts to begin, because we've also seen the luxury items also in this as well, the jewelry that has been, seen as well. And it's kind of weird that Assad's wife, who, bear in mind, family comes, I believe, from the UK. She said that they live a middle class lifestyle. Well, clearly they weren't with the amount of stuff that was going on here. But this is where the other thing that begins now, and I think it is: can Assad ever really be brought to justice? And unfortunately, I think that answer is no. So long as he remains in Russia and Putin is in power in Russia, that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen at all, which is a shame, because Assad should be brought to justice. However, just because he can't be brought to justice doesn't mean, well, maybe we can't make his life, a little bit more difficult. And I think this is something well worth bearing in mind. I think this is what the international community really needs to start looking at and doing. So before we get more into this, please do remember to click the like, click the share button, the Buy Me a Coffee link down below, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, there's the Pony Club down below as well. So thank you very much to everyone who does help and support the channel that way. So one of the first big things is, why would Assad run to Russia? Well, first of all, the Assad family has huge historical ties to Russia, to Putin. They have been backing him up for years, but not the only ones. Iran as well. However, those ties were a lot more, shall we say, better and stable if you want to sort of, run away and hide, which the Russian government, and particularly Putin, is more than happy to do. However, he will not be living the best of lives. What will happen is he will be given a mansion somewhere as far away as they possibly can, and they will just hide him away for the rest of his life. They will not do interviews, they will not want any photos taken of him or anything like that, because they aren't interested in him, because Assad represents two things that they don't like. First of all, an out and out authoritarian, but also an authoritarian who, well, failed. Kind of sends a bit of a wrong message that you're harboring this type of individual. But we also now need to start looking at Assad's money, because all this money that he had embezzled for years from the Syrian people now should be starting to look at, well, where is all this money gone? Where do these money trails lead? If you saw, I think, one of the recent Sky News interviews, they show you, they have documents showing millions, billions of dollars, everything, every currency you could possibly think of, going here, there, and everywhere. And we know that this is all hidden behind shell companies as well, so that the hunt for those needs to be started as well. There will be investments probably under different names. I would not be surprised if it turns out that Assad has put money into the London housing market in some ways. Maybe there are even properties that he quote owns, maybe not under his name, maybe under a shell company, maybe under his wife's family name. It's possible. But I really do believe now that what needs to happen is the international community should come together, maybe under the UN. Maybe we could even do it through the EU and sort of do a big focus on Europe. But there needs to be, I think, a special international unit made for the express purpose now of tracking down all of Assad's assets, finding them, identifying them, freezing them, and then taking that money and then finally returning it to the Syrian people. And that could take a very long time to do. But the sooner this unit gets going, the sooner it can get started. Because you can guarantee right now that Assad is somewhere in Moscow desperately trying as hard as he can to start trying to cover up the paper trails, the whatever you can think about it, where all this money is. And that needs to happen sooner rather than later. Now, if individual countries want to start this as well, like say, I don't know, Starmer comes out and says, right, we're going to start a hunt for Assad's assets in the UK, brilliant. But I think this is something that the international community should work together on. For example, I think if the UK, I don't know, let's say we find a money trail that goes to, I don't know, Belgium, for example, we should then go, okay, Belgium, we found this money trail, goes to your country. Here's all the information we have. Where's your, Assad's money unit, etc. And then they can take over all that information and they can go after it there. But then we might find that money then got moved from Belgium. So, this is one of the things where it needs to be an international, I think, coordinated unit that has the authority to just go follow the money wherever it may go, wherever it may lead. I would not be surprised if a lot of it is, of course, in Swiss bank accounts as well. But getting Switzerland to do, that kind of thing, a bit risky. But it is, again, something that the Swiss banking system, I think, needs to come to terms with a lot. It really needs to come to terms with when it comes to that type of stuff. But it is something I think that does need an international response. I think this money really needs to start be tracked down and, of course, eventually return to the Syrian people. But the sooner we start this, the sooner we start the hunt for Assad's money, the better and quicker we will be able to find it. The more easier it is going to be, because the more time that passes, the more time that Assad is going to have time to cover up that money, hide the paper trails, the banking trails, move it through multiple accounts, so it just gets more and more difficult to find, more and more difficult to track down. This is something that should be looked at incredibly quickly. And I think the faster we make a move on this, the quicker, the more money we'll be able to find, the more money we'll be able to give back to what will be the new Syrian government. So, of course, as always, let me know what you think down below as well. And of course, we'll see you all next time.